In this video, I'm going to start at the end and show you what the result is. In this select statement, I am using a having clause to select states that have total city populations from 0 to 1 million. The having clause works with the group by clause. The having clause is used to select sets that were formed by the group by. Now, if you're able to look at this statement and the results and figure out what is happening, you can skip to the end of this video. But like one of those movies where you're shown the end of the movie at the beginning, I'm now going to track back through this and see how this new having clause works. I'll show you the evidence a piece at a time so that you can see what is going on here. So let's start with a simple select. This select just goes to the city table and gets the columns that are in that table. It sorts the cities in descending order of population. I'm not doing anything tricky or mysterious here. The goal is to just show the type of data that is in the city table. We're going to work with this data to get a list of the cities in the United States. Once we have that list, we're going to get the total city population by state. Once we have that, we're going to select states that have a city population total up to 1 million. So now that you see the data that we're working with, let's move on. This is the next piece of the puzzle. I added a where clause to select just the cities that are in the United States, using the country code USA. Now we have just US cities in order of descending population. In this version of the select statement, I changed the order by clause. I added the district as the first column in the order by clause. So now you can see that the list is sorted first by state, then by the cities within that state, with the largest cities appearing first within each state. The reason for making this change to the order by is so that we can start to see where we're going with this data. We need to get a total of the population for each state. After getting the state totals, we're going to select states based on the state total. So I can't yet select based on the state total since I'm still looking at city data within the state. But by making this change to select, I can see how the data can be used. Now this next iteration of the select statement starts to make the changes that are needed to get the total by the state. First, I removed the name column from the select column list. I no longer need the city names since I'll be getting the total population for the state. I added the column alias state so that the word district does not show up in the result grid. I also added the sum function to get the total of the population. The total is returned using the column alias state total. Next, I added the group by clause. The group by clause is used to group the data by the column or columns that are in the group by column list. In this case, I only have one column in the group by list, my newly aliased state column. I then changed the order by so that the states are listed in descending order by population. In the order by column list, I can refer to the state total column alias that was computed with the sum function. So now I have most of what I want. I have a list of states in descending order by their population. Now a quick side note, the state total values shown here are not the total population of the state. The state total is just the sum of the cities for the state that are in the city table. The city table only includes the largest cities in each state, so that the sum of the cities will be less than the actual population of the state. The final problem to solve is to limit the states that are shown in this list to just those states with a population of up to 1 million. Again, I can't do that with the where clause. The where clause is selecting individual city rows from the table. At the time when the where clause selects a row, the total population for the state is not yet known. The total population for the state is the result of two factors, the sum function and the group by clause. So now I'll bring in the having clause. This is the select statement that I showed you at the start of this video, the one I told you I would work back from. The having clause does for the sets what the where clause does for the rows. Having decides if a set is to be included in the result grid based upon one or more test conditions. In this example, the test condition is for the state total between 0 and 1 million. You could have used a less than or equal comparison here. It would do the same as the between keyword. Notice that the state total value would not be known until the sum function was performed over the state groups. So having is applied to the data after the group by operations are performed. The having clause has access to the results of the group by, and it can determine if a group by set is to be included or omitted from the final results. Notice that the order by clause comes in last. After all of the selecting, calculating, including, or omitting is done, then you can apply the order by. Would it be possible to have a select statement where there is a having clause but no where clause? The answer is, of course. Although where and having are used for somewhat similar purposes, they interact with the data at different times. Where gets to interact with each row as it is read from the table. Where is simply used to discard the row from further consideration or to keep it in the set of data that will have more operations performed. Having comes into play after the group by is done. It's kind of like having a pipeline. Where determines what goes into the pipeline. Having determines what happens with the data that comes out of the pipeline. Once everything is done, the order by works with the data that is in the result set. Here is a list of the select statement clauses that we've worked with so far in this course. It turns out that to have a select statement, the only required part is the select keyword and a column list. Now, a select without any of the other clauses is not doing very much, so almost always you will have one or more of the other clauses. Most select statements include a from clause to indicate the table or tables where the data is located. After from, you can have a where clause to select data. As you've seen, the where clause is optional. For any but the most trivial tables or applications, you will almost always have a where clause. If you need to perform grouping on the data, you can use a group by clause. It must appear after the where clause, if there is one. If you don't have a where clause, the group by would go after the from. As you've just learned, the having clause is paired with the group by. No group by, no having. If you use it, it follows group by. And finally, you have the optional order by clause. Again, most select statements will have an order by to put the resulting data in some sort of order.